Hi, I'm Ginny Robertson, founder of the On Purpose Woman Global Community and founder and publisher of On Purpose Woman magazine. I'm here with Sarah Santacroce. Am I saying your name right? Because I meant to check that with
You
you
do.
again, Sarah. Okay, great. Sarah Santacroce, who's going to talk about her article in the January-February issue of On Purpose Woman magazine. Sarah, thanks for being with me today.
Fun to be back. Thank you for having me.
So before we have this conversation, tell our viewers about you. What do you want them to know about you?
I want them to know that I live in Switzerland because you have a mainly US audience, right? And it's a funny anecdote. I started recording meditations on the Insight Timer app because I just love recording meditations, and so I started doing that. And then I sometimes say in the intro that I'm based in Switzerland. And so I get a lot of comments of people going, I love Switzerland, right? And so I actually created a course around can't remember exactly how I call it, but how to, be calm and grounded by this journey through Switzerland or something like that, like Swiss Secret. And people are just loving it because, we have this, Switzerland has this brand where people think, oh, everything is always perfect, which it's
Fun
not.
loving all day long, right?
But so
It's
yeah,
not.
that's me, Sarah, the
Okay.
Swiss girl. Yes.
Well, I'm I love that you said that because I didn't know that about you, that you had done these meditations, and you really gave a great example of what we're going to be talking about today. And so you've been writing a series. This is the second of the series on the evolution of the 7 P's of marketing. And for those of you who may not have read her first one, would you just share a little bit about what the 7 P's of marketing are and how you kind of evolve them and why?
hmm Yeah, so the 7 P's of marketing, the traditional 7 P's of marketing, is a concept that has been around since the 60s and that basically defined how everyone should market their brand, their business. And when I I am basically a self-trained marketer, have been for a long time. And so when I looked at these P's and knowing how I want to do things differently and kind of like more consciously, I was like, well, something is wrong with these P's that are they're very product oriented. They're very kind of like old school in a way, right? They're all about doing and not about being. And so when I looked at those P's, I'm like, well, what we want for our conscious clients is kind of show up authentically. That's one of these buzzwords, right? Authenticity. But it's true. We want to show up authentically so that the right kind of clients resonate with us. And so when I looked at the traditional P's, I thought, well, something is wrong here. We need to somehow reinvent them and start with ourselves. And then from there, from that place, from this place of inner world, we need to market from within and then go outside. So I basically reshuffled the P's and started with P's that are very much more being oriented. Like the first P that we talked about last time is passion, or could also stand for purpose, right? So it's like, well, figuring out why you're even in business, why you're doing what you're doing. Why are you so passionate about this thing that you chose to be your thing? And so today we're talking about the P of personal power. So, meaning figuring out what makes you unique compared to, all the other people out there who might be doing the same thing, the exact same thing, and yet you are uniquely different. And that's exactly what is part of your marketing, to communicate that so people are like, no, I want to work with Ginny. Yes, there's all these other networks for women, but no, I want to work with her because it feels good. It feels aligned. It resonates. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the original second P was personal power and you shifted that to, I'm sorry, not personal power, physical evidence.
The
Let me
other
put
way
these two.
around. Yeah, yeah,
Physical evidence, which was all about product, right? It was all about what are we going to show them that we do. Again, you're back to the doing there.
yeah,
And what you're talking about now in harnessing our personal power is showing them who we are.
exactly.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's that outer inner, and we're more going towards the inner first before we can, come up with our products. But if we don't know who we are from the inside, then the product that we create can be a huge misfit to who we actually are. Like I think about back in my days of a LinkedIn, I had a LinkedIn consultancy. So one of the first people who were showing up as a LinkedIn consultant, right? Using LinkedIn as a platform. And I hadn't gone on this journey of figuring out who I am and what my values are, my passion and purpose. And so I just kind of tried to imitate everybody else who was out there doing similar things. And it was like really pushy, and the product didn't really resonate with myself, who I was. That's what you get when you don't start from within.
So starting from within can have two purposes then. It can help us define who we are and really what do we want to offer, not what do we think is needed out there, right? Or what do we think we're supposed to be doing? And it also can help us relate to the people we are most meant to serve. Is that
Exactly.
an accurate kind of description?
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. Yeah, that's totally it. Because we do our best work often with the people who are on that same resonance level, right?
Hmm.
That's why
Yeah.
we are entrepreneurs. That's why we went into our own business, because we don't want to just do anymore what someone else is telling us to do. So we really want to find, and I call that finding your life's work. Like
Hmm.
it's normal that we don't just usually it's kind of a journey, and we're like, okay, we don't just start out as entrepreneurs and immediately know, right? So it's sometimes it takes a little time, and my goal is to help people get there faster so they don't spend 10 years just kind of running a business just to pay your bills, because you are an entrepreneur so that you can create your life's work and don't just have a 9 to 5 job.
And experience all the joy that can come with that. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
When I was preparing for this, a question popped up for me, and I'm going to ask it to you. Does it take some courage to show up like this,
Mm,
market in this way from our personal power and actually being
mm,
real? First, discovering who we are takes courage, I believe, because it's like, no, no, no. Sometimes I know I would fight, no, that's not what I'm supposed to be doing. I know it's not. And it was. But what
mm.
about this idea of exposing ourselves in a way to other people? Do you think it takes some courage to do that? Or if
Yeah.
not, what does it take?
Yeah. No, it takes a lot of courage actually.
Yeah.
And I think in my human design, actually, let me back up in the personal power, the P of personal power in the program that you're going to be part of in a few
Mhm.
weeks. In the P of personal power, we really look at different tools that help us find out who we truly are, because it's not, we sometimes we need to do some of that inner work to truly figure out, well, who am I really? Who
Yeah.
who is this human being in this lifetime? What's my calling? What are my values? Kind of the more um, business oriented things. And so human design is one of those tools that really helped me, and I know helps a lot of other people figuring out who you truly are, who you are wired to be during this lifetime on Earth. And so I really feel that that is super helpful to understand who you are, so that you can then bring that into your business and into your marketing. And so in my human design reading, um, it clearly says, I'm here to help people find their courage, not to give them courage, but find their own courage and be brave and have the confidence to show up. Because as you know, I really like to work with change makers who are here to bring change. And so, yes, it takes a lot of courage to be authentic. And that's why before I said it's kind of a buzzword, because people use it as if it's something that you can buy off the shelf or apply
Yeah.
with a 10-step list. It's not. It took me years to really step into that role of just showing up as Sarah and kind of, being weird and different and that's what people like. They like the real authentic being. But yes, it does take courage because you cannot hide anymore, right? You cannot just be like everybody else. Um, and so I used to think it was an age thing because it took me so many years, but I see so many young women now just stepping into their real authentic self way
Yeah.
earlier than
Oh, it's
me.
so exciting, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, so it's not an age thing. It's really just a kind of click, switch on that thing, and you're like, why would I want to be anybody else than just
Right.
myself?
Right.
Yeah.
And there's a whole process of the letting go of the old me, and
Hmm.
also that idea that we have to please everybody out there in the world, and that's a huge one. And I see, you talk about young women really getting it much sooner. I know I was in my probably, well, it was in therapy that I first started to tap into that a little bit. And I was in my early 30s. I'm very grateful for that. But really, around the age of 37, 38, I really started plowing in and doing that work. And it was scary. I mean, it's not necessarily fun. The end
Yeah.
result is great, but it really takes some courage, so to
Yeah,
speak.
it
Yes.
really does. Yeah.
Yeah. And but the other side of that, like how did you see your business change when you got clear on who you are? Because the clear you got on who you got clear on what you offer and you got clear on who you offer it to. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's
How did that
exactly that
change you?
clarity. Yeah, so for
Yeah.
me, or just for anybody who goes through that work, is it gives you clarity.
Mhm.
First, the clarity comes with what you don't want anymore. It's
That's
kind of
important.
like, I don't want to do any of these pushy things anymore that until now, I felt like I had to. But now that I know who I am, and a big word is integrity, like being in my
Mhm.
own integrity means that I don't want to do any of these other things anymore that people keep telling me I should do. So big clarity for yourself, but then also people see you in a way different light because they see that you have clarity and they see that you know who you are and they see your boundaries because you show up with these boundaries. And there's a huge amount of respect is totally the wrong word. It's kind of like admiration almost, like, I want what she has kind of thing. And so, yeah, because it's so freeing and you can always see it in people when you look around and you can see, oh yeah, the person know who she is and she just shows up that way and doesn't care what other people think. And that is kind of sexy in a society where people all show up with their masks, right? So yeah, that's kind of the outcome of that. And it's so nice to see that, especially with people who come in the program or work with me, where they're kind of missing that confidence and courage to really show up. And then over the months and years, I see them really bloom and go, completely be themselves on social media and and of course with the impact that has on their business is that they are then resonating with their ideal clients and the clients yeah that they work with. well, it's more fun to work with clients that you actually do want to work with. And you also get them better results because there's so much alignment. So yeah, it's fun to watch.
It's all, oh, yeah, it's all so important. And you reminded me, not that I've ever forgotten this, but when I started the On Purpose Woman Global Community, it was 25 years ago this year. And I really didn't know what I was creating. I just knew I wanted to bring women together for this particular purpose. And since I wasn't clear on me or what I was bringing to the table, I took everybody's opinion under advisement. I mean, I would get phone calls. This one woman would call me every day, every morning after a meeting to tell me what I had done that she didn't like.
Hmm.
And she, I thought she was a friend. And she had been in business longer than me. So I would listen, but I would be so, and finally I got really clear that, the reason I didn't start a nonprofit, the reason I don't have a board is because this is mine and I'm going to do it the way I want to do it. And it's not, yeah, I'm going to take people's ideas, especially if, my member, I have a membership organization. So if somebody has an opinion, obviously I want to listen to it. Doesn't mean I'm going to jump on it. I'm going to look at it and go, oh, wow, that might be a good idea. I may look at that. Or no, I don't think that's for me. But in the early days, I was frustrated all the time because I was trying to please everybody. So what you're talking about is so important. Had I maybe stepped back, I think I did it fine because obviously I was supposed to be doing it because I wouldn't still be doing it. I think I would have saved myself a little more grief if I had maybe gone a little slower into it and thought, what is it exactly and why, the why behind this, other than I want to bring women together. Well, for what purpose? For how long? For what am I getting from it? Right? All of that stuff. So I love all of this stuff that
Yeah,
we talk
it's
about. So,
exactly that. It's that you're not as influenceable, if that's a word,
right.
anymore, you know.
It's a great
And
word.
in
I don't know if it's a word
marketing,
either.
yeah, in marketing, it's so easy to be influenced by all the different tactics and shiny objects, and
Mhm. Yeah.
you should always be doing something else. And once you have that clarity, you're just like, no, this is what I'm doing because I like doing it and because it works for me and for my clients. And that
Yeah.
is, yeah, it's a huge liberation for a lot of people.
Well, in your article, you share, and you do this in each of the articles, you share an actionable tip. Can you tell us about this one?
Yeah, let me look it up. So the actionable tip is to really reflect on your stories that you can share that make you unique. Like I started this conversation with the Swiss thing because that's just
Mhm.
something that people remember. It's you want to be remembered for something that is unique about you, and oftentimes stories are the best way to wrap that up. And so it could be stories like that that are not related to business. Me being Swiss has nothing to do with business, or it can be stories that are related, that where your clients can really resonate with because you have lived through the same things that you're now helping them with. But think about your stories and what makes you different from all the other people who are offering the same thing. Another story I often tell is my growing up in a little hippie community, right? So that's again something that is unique to me. And for the longest time, and that took a lot of courage to bring that into the business world, right? For the longest time, I had hidden that away and like, no, I'm a business person now. I'm not gonna tell that ever. And yet it's something that people remember or people get curious. I have that as my LinkedIn headline. It says hippie turned conscious business coach. And so people, when I'm on a podcast, always ask, well, what is this story behind this title? So it's something that people remember. And at the same time, it's also kind of like it indicates your values in this case, because people, either like hippies or they don't. And so it's like, oh, are we aligned? Do we have the same kind of peace versus war values, right? So it's another good example of a story that makes you unique. Obviously, there's a million other stories. And I remember actually that when I was in a kind of a program where they shared the same thing, I'm like, I don't have any special stories. And so that is
Right.
always the case, that people always think nothing is, nothing is unique about them. But so far, everybody that I worked with, there was always something that was special and unique and worth telling. And so it's about figuring out what that and what those stories are.
I can relate to you not wanting to share your story initially, especially in the professional environment, because I grew up in a small coal mining town in southern West Virginia, and it was this particular community. It was a lovely community. It didn't look like what people think coal mining communities look like, and it just that area just didn't look like that. And we had our own school for 27 families. And I was a one-room school, and I was the only child in the third, fourth, fifth, and sixth grade. Each year I progressed, and each year I was by myself. But when I went to tell just people that I would meet that in the early days, they would make fun of it a bit, and they would make fun of how I spoke. I've been in Maryland now for longer, like 50 years. So, I don't have that accent. I still have a bit of it, but not as much as I used to. But they would make fun of the way I spoke, and they would say, "Oh, you're a little country girl, a little mountain girl," and I thought, they've seen Little House on the Prairie, and they said, "Did you have heat?" And it was like it was built, had been built in the 50s, and I was going to school there in the mid 50s. And yeah, it was a lovely little place, but I just stopped telling people that. And to bring it up as a business story, no way. But I have told it, especially in those opportunities. Tell everybody what's something unique about you, and you're supposed to put it in the chat. And it's like, I was the only child in the third, fourth, fifth, and sixth grade. Well, tell me about that, right?
Yeah,
And so
exactly.
first and last in my class,
Yeah.
and so I think you make such a great point about that. The things that maybe brought us a little bit of shame sometimes are
Mhm.
the things that people will most relate to,
Yeah.
because I think people can also look at us sometimes and go, well, she's just been like this all her life. She's you know, never experienced anything but whatever she has now. And it's just not true. We all have been through some stuff and all have made some transitions. And, it was a big deal to move to the big city when about halfway through college, I decided to shift up everything and move to a big city. And, I'm still here. I love it, but it was a big deal to do that. And then
Yeah.
to hear the flack of what people thought about the area that I came from, because it has a reputation in the States. And it's worse now than before because it's much more poverty stricken now. But yeah,
Mm.
so anyway, I digress a bit in that story.
No, but it's good.
But if you didn't
Exactly. I
know,
will
now
never
you know.
forget that, you see?
Yeah, yeah.
And I was just thinking about, a lot of times we do want to find out our values and that's good work. But then would you really remember if I told you my five best, my five core values? No, because in the end, probably there's a lot of overlap, right? We
Mhm.
both probably value kindness. And so I'm not going to remember, oh yeah, Ginny's five, but I'm always going to remember that you were the only student in those classes. So
Yeah.
yeah, it just makes it, the other thing it does, because we're talking about humane and human marketing, it really puts that human touch to the business person. And I'm just finalizing the book, my third book, Business Like We're Human. And it's almost like the word business does not apply to what I'm doing anymore, because it's so much more than business. It's so much more human. And I'm really questioning all our assumptions that we have around how we should be as business people and how we should relate to each other. Because yeah, I just don't believe in that kind of business relationship anymore. I believe in human relationships.
We don't have to give it away, but did you come up with a new word yet? For
No, I haven't, but yeah, still
yeah,
working
there's,
on it.
yeah, I agree. I think there's a word that could do much more justice to
Mhm.
how you're operating and how a lot of us are operating out there in the world. Because that's why I usually tell people I'm an entrepreneur rather than I'm a business owner.
Yeah,
Because entrepreneur to me, it also separates out the people who only want to talk to business owners, you
right.
know,
Yeah.
Oh, if you and you work from home, oh, that's not a real business, right?
Right.
And so that also separates some of the people who might resonate with us or not. So,
Exactly.
Sarah, how can our viewers find out more about you?
Yeah, they can come to my website. And of course, there's a link also, I think, that I share in the article that has to do with those 7 Ps of humane marketing so that you can, think about those different Ps for your own business and it comes with a mandala. So the 7 Ps of humane marketing are in the form of a mandala. And with 7 email prompts to really help you reflect on these different P's for your business. And that's at humane.marketing/one page. The word one, the letter, the number one, and the letters page. So
That will be in the text.
humane.marketing/one
Yeah.
page. Yeah.
I'll make sure that's in the text of the video. I can't do it all now because, Zoom limits how many characters we can put into our description. But as soon as we wrap this up, I will put that in the text. So check it out, everyone. Check out Sarah's website. Check out her free gift. It's really amazing. And go look at that mandala, or better yet, read the article in the magazine. And you can also look at the mandala and say, ooh, here's 3P coming up. That'll be out on March in the March-April issue on March 1st. So, Sarah, do you have a final thought you'd like to leave us with?
I think we're really stepping into this era where we are, on one hand, very much individuals, and at the same time, we need to find our community. So it's personal power is not just my way or the highway. My way is the highways, but instead it's like, yes, I can tap into my own individuality, but at the same time, I make change and make difference in community. So I'm a big follower of astrology, and we're now just stepped into the era of Aquarius. And Aquarius is all about the individual, decentralization. But at the same time, Aquarius is also very much about humanitarian acts and therefore being in community and togetherness, right? So it seems like a paradox, but it's actually not, because otherwise you have a sect, right? If we're all just in a community, but we are just following one person, then it's more like a sect. But here, Aquarius wants us to find out about our individual being, but at the same time stay in sovereignty and be sovereign beings in community. And I find that really, really powerful. And that's, to me, it's a big part of humane marketing as well. Because if we see our clients as sovereign beings, that it's not my job to convince them or manipulate them into buying my stuff, but just offer it as a solution, and then they have the sovereignty to decide because they know who they are and they know what they need and they make that decision. And that creates a beautiful partnership and collaboration. So, yeah, just think about this idea of, yes, individual, but individuals in community and how powerful and encouraging that is. And that's how we create change.
Everything I've been reading about this new time on the planet just has given me more hope, more because we've been waiting for this a long time. It's been easing in for 20 years or so, I believe. And I think when I used to go see a karmic astrologer years ago, almost like a therapist for a while, and she was really well versed in all of this, and I just had this idea that, oh, it's just going to show up and we're going to all be great. A lot of pain. I think a lot of unraveling has to happen to be to that space where you want to be. But it's a lot of positivity, and it's a real time for us to all show up and shine our light and be real. If we ever needed real people, we need them now, right?
Yeah.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much, Sarah, for sharing your wisdom and your heart, both in the magazine and here with me. I really do appreciate you and the work that you're doing. And I can't wait to start your program. I'm so excited to be doing that. So,
Me too. Good. Thank you.
and I want to thank anyone who's watching this either live on my Facebook page or on our YouTube channel. For more information on the On Purpose Woman Global Community and magazine, please click on the links in this video and be sure to check out, excuse me, Sarah's website for all that she's offering and for that great free offer that she's doing. And for more interviews with amazing women living their lives on purpose, check out our YouTube channel. The link is also in the text of this video. Thanks again for watching.